Started. So thank you for everyone who joined today. We hope everyone had a safe holiday season, and we realize how crazy things are out there between rising hospitalizations and people trying to do vaccine administrations. And so we do appreciate you taking the time to join the call. Our agenda for this month is a survey reminder. We've had a lot of new changes to transit over the last 6 months, and some of these sessions have not had many attendees, so we're going to do sort of a review of the things that have been added. We're hoping to roll out Transit 5.0 in the first quarter of this year, so we'll do a sneak peek of that, and then we'll have our tip of the month. When we started these sessions, we were routinely getting between 50 and 70 participants, and a couple of months ago, we changed the invite so that we wouldn't show everyone's email address. We sent out a blinded email with a attachment to the appointment in that email. The 2 sessions that we did that for, we had almost no attendees at all. And so for this month, we went back to openly sending the email to everyone who's in our VUG user list. And, hopefully we do get more attendees, but what we were wanting to know was whether or not these meetings are useful to all of you or not. So do we have them too frequently? We've been doing them monthly. Would people prefer it to be every other month or quarterly? Those sorts of things. So we sent out a survey, but we also didn't get any responses to the survey. So it could have been that it was Christmas and New Year's, because like I said before, that they were very well attended. Or it also could be that maybe there's something you'd like to see us do differently with these sessions. So Ange, if you don't mind, if you can take that survey link there and cut and paste it into the chat, and we'll also send it out to the distribution after this, because we really do want your feedback. We want to continue these sessions, but we want it to be what's going to be most valuable for you. Okay, so like I said, there have been a lot of changes over the last 6 months, and that included the introduction of transit plans. And I know that lots of our clients are currently using plans. Plans are just a list of activities, and they can have as much detail or as little detail in them as you want. So for example, in this one, this is a plan that would be used over and over again. So it doesn't have a start and finish date, because you would fill that in each time you use it. They can be grouped by category or by group, and in this case, we didn't do it. This is like a checklist for getting ready for a round of integration testing. So again, plans can be used for any number of things. They can be used for cutover planning, for getting ready for a round of testing. You can actually use it to replace Microsoft Project if you have a fairly simple project. Other things that people have been using it for are lists for device deployment, the checklist for deploying your devices, or also a couple of sites have used it for keeping track of the call-in numbers for the various different solutions for cutovers and things like that. So after we added plans, we did some updates to plans, and that included some additional functionality around this view, which is the list of all plans for an organization. So with this, you've got some great dashboarding capabilities, the ability to see across all plans the percentage complete, or the ability to filter to a set of plans and see the percentage of complete for those group of plans, or the stats for an individual plan. We also added with it this little icon here, which gives you the ability to look inside the plan across multiple plans. And what that's really great for is if you've got cutover plans that have been built out by solution, and you have somebody managing the overall cutover, or you want to do a tabletop walkthrough of the entire cutover plan, then even when they're built out like this, you can filter to your cutover plans. You can click this icon and it'll give you a list of a chronological list of all of the activities in that plan. So lots of additional functionality has been added around plans. After that, one of the things we added was a user upload. So that's something that clients have asked for a few years now, is the ability to be able to upload users in a fast way. So it's just an Excel upload. It gives you the instructions here. Here are the fields you need to have in your upload. Many of them are not required. Once you do the upload, then you would just send an email out to all of the people who had been updated. So where this is really good is for new clients when you're building a whole bunch of people at once, or if you're starting a new project with a vendor you haven't worked with before and none of your vendor resources are built inside Transit, then you can upload those in a spreadsheet. Or, if you're using it for cutover and it's a whole new set of vendor resources that are coming in to help you with that cutover, then that's when it comes in particularly handy. We added roster, and roster is the ability to keep a list of who in your organization is supposed to be participating in a round of testing, which positions it is they're going to be doing in that round. But it also gives the admin the ability to click this view by position when they're inside a roster for a specific test round and find out which positions no one is assigned to do so that they can get on the phone and find out from the app manager or whoever else it is who's supposed to be covering those positions for a round of testing. And then because of things like roster being in place, we were able to start working on automated messaging. So first came automated messaging for issues. And when an issue is assigned to you or reassigned to you, you get an email that tells you what the issue number is and what the title of the issue is, and it actually gives you a link to that issue as well as some of the information. And then, like I said, because roster is there and because you're assigning positions in a round of testing to specific people now, you can actually email those people when test steps start to fall behind. So in this case, you can see that this email was sent and this user, there's 5 steps waiting on them, and then it lists the individual steps down below there. So the idea of grouping it and not sending one email for every single one is to reduce the traffic, but also make sure that the test keeps moving. After that, we added in a new update to allow for 2 different things. We added in the ability to have pass-through transactions in the interface test steps. So that can be used for a couple of different things. The first one would be if you're sending a registration from your registration system to an interface engine, and that interface engine is sending it to 50 different systems, this is what allows for that. The other thing is it can allow you to start off with one transaction and have it spawn a new transaction. So in the case of what I'm showing here on the screen, it's a ADT being generated. Sorry, it's an appointment being generated for a patient. And then that appointment generation sends a appointment creation message to the patient so that the patient gets a text message on their phone. So the new updates to the interface transactions allowed for both of those things to occur. We also added the ability to see who's up in a round of testing. So you can see here, when I hover over the reg clerk, it says that I'm assigned to that. If you had a group of people, so say you had a inpatient nursing team and there was 4 or 5 people that had signed up to do tasks, it would just list all of their names beside here. And that's obviously to facilitate the testing coordinator getting a hold of the right person to keep the test scripts moving as well. Then the last thing that was added towards the end of the year is this issue snapshot. And so if you've used Transit at all over the last little while, you should have noticed this at the bottom. If you have any issues assigned to you, they would show up here. If you'd recently viewed any issues, they'd show up here. If there's no issues that you've ever viewed or that are assigned to you that are currently open, then you would just have the 2 orange bars at the bottom. But so hopefully you've all seen that and have been finding it useful. These links take you directly to that issue. Obviously, you can also still go to the issue log, but if there's one you were just working on a second ago and you need to get back to it, then this is for ease of access for that. Okay, so Transit 5.0. Every single client we've had has asked us to freeze the top of the pages. So if it was in the test steps page, you didn't want the action and outcome, the header row to scroll off the page, or if you were in the tasks page, you didn't want the top of the task to scroll off the page. So what we've done is we're replacing the underlying grid in Transit. And by replacing that underlying grid, Transit's going to start to behave more like standard Windows applications. And that's both in the Transit plan side and the testing side. And what that will allow is for more standard Windows type functionality to be added. We're also working really hard to add a scheduling application. And this scheduling application will allow you to schedule resources for either a round of testing or for a cutover, or actually even to keep track of who your go live support is and where they're assigned to. We're not just adding a new grid, we're also adding a Gantt chart, real Gantt chart functionality to our plans. So hopefully what will come out when Transit 5.0 first comes out will be the new grid functionality, and hopefully the scheduling application will come out with it. If not, we're planning to have scheduling be available for March 1st. And we'll let you know between now and then if things change. When I show you a few screenshots here, you're going to see that it looks radically different. But what we're trying to do is make it be as user-friendly as possible and have tooltips for hovering so that you won't necessarily need to retrain everyone. One of the other things that we've done is simplify the org settings and how to build and maintain orgs, so that right now it's been very difficult to add new facilities to clients. So we generally recommend that clients only build a single facility. So we've changed the whole org setting build so that now if you want to add additional facilities, it's much easier to maintain. We're also giving, this has come up a couple of times where people have said, hey, is there any ability to change the labels on the new issue page so that it matches our issue tracking system? And with Transit 5.0, you'll have the ability to do that as well. So I've got some screenshots. The development team didn't want me to show it to you live because some things don't work yet, and they didn't want me to crash the system while I was doing this demo. Okay, so this is a copy of the test steps page. And so you'll see test steps before. The banding, the color banding would go all across the row. Now it's only on the position column. Additionally, we used to have all the icons for pass fail, all that other stuff out here. And now we've moved it to the end. But these columns, because it's more like standard functionality, you can actually drag the column and put it anywhere you want. But we put it towards the back here. It's going to default to pass. And if you want to choose something other than pass, you would go to the right click options. So the reason we've changed it so that it's only the position column that has the banding is so that you can actually click to highlight a row and be able to see which row it is you've highlighted, or you can shift click and highlight multiple rows. And once you've done that, you can right click, see the options, and then take the options on all of the steps at one time. As well, you can see it comes defaulted now to only the test steps that haven't been completed. And if I wanted to show all the test steps, I could just remove that filter. Okay, so then again, you know, once you take your right click action, it then updates the screen. So if we were going to flag that next step there, that click FirstNet icon, it would open a sort of a more streamlined looking test note. And you can see the test note will actually have 3 different tabs, one for the actual note, one to take you back and see which the test step looked like and what test script it came from, that kind of stuff, and then another one for an attachments tab. And I've got a screenshot of that a little bit later here. And then, of course, when it comes back to the screen, because the way we've rearranged things, there's actually, you know, it's a nicer view to be able to go and see that, yes, your note was saved and here is your note. And so then if you wanted to right click, and if somebody was coming behind you and wants to change that into an issue, when they click the issue, it'll then pop open this new issue page. And you can see there's more functionality around here. So you'll be able to bold, underline, all those other kinds of good rich text type things. But this is the part here that'll be configurable. Transit 5.0 will come with an issue template. And then in one of these sessions, we'll do training on how to update the template if you don't like it or if you want to make customizations. So again, here I showed what the steps page looked like. So it gives you all the information from that specific test step. And then here's a look at what the attachments will look like. So it'll look more like a normal Windows attachment. Again, it's still selecting a file, so you can't do a screenshot and cut and paste a screenshot in, but this is more Windows standard for doing an attachment. I've got a couple of shots here as well of the simplified build. So this is what it looks like if you have multiple facilities set up. Not many of our clients have multiple facilities set up because we really discouraged it because of the maintenance of this. So in Transit 5.0, so in here you had to have, if this is just an example around issue status, but for the issue status, you would have to choose it for each one of the organizations, each one of these. And the streamline look now looks like this. So what you've lost is if you have different facilities using different issue statuses, then you would have to build it out. So this one might be, open facility 1, and then, I don't know who wouldn't have an open, but you might call these things different things at other sites. So you might need to label them differently if you use different issue statuses at different facilities. But since no one is doing that yet in transit, we felt that going to a easier build that will allow you all to build out multiple facilities would be a much better approach. Not to mention the time to maintain it is significantly reduced. I only brought in the screenshots from the issue status. This would be true for everything in the build. So now the facilities are more just tied to test steps for saying which facility is the test step is for, than it is tying everything else in the build to a facility. Okay, so now we'll move on to the tip of the month. And with everybody doing remote testing, what we've been asked is, what is our recommendation for how to store the information that gets generated that people need access to. So whether it's face sheets, armbands, labels, or things that the med barcodes for all patients, or the BMDI for the devices, any kind of thing that needs to be scanned or accessed during the round of testing. I know at some of the sites I worked with, we put it on SharePoint, but we really feel like this is a better option here, which is to actually store it in transit. So in this case, when they click OK on the registration conversation, it's reminding them here in the details that output's going to be generated, and scan it and attach it to the step. So when they scan it and attach it to the step, we're suggesting they use a type of data, and that will allow you to come into the test notes page and filter to all of your data items. And then here at the top, we've got the BMDI labels and med labels for all scenarios. And then down below it, we've got the face sheet, armband, etc. for each of the individual scenarios. So this saves somebody who's in transit from having to go from transit out to the SharePoint site and back in. And if they're working on a specific scenario, they can come in here and pop open the barcodes they need for that scenario and then carry on. So then to get to the attachment, you just click that paperclip there and then it opens. So that was everything that I had to show for today. We do have everyone muted, but if anyone has any questions, please go ahead and unmute. And otherwise, please make sure you fill in the survey, because we really do want to know what the right frequency is for these meetings. Does anyone have any questions?
Hey, Patty, this is Brian.
Hello.
I didn't quite follow the interface update. The example, I wasn't able to blow it up to see more specifically.
Okay, so I will go somewhere where I can show you specifically what it looks like. So what I'm going to show you here is a client that we're working with that's doing a lot of messaging with text message and email. And so in here, what they do is, so this is being generated for Meditech. They're doing a registration. And so it's generating the, this one doesn't have we'll look down this one that actually has it turned on. So in this one here, they're generating a SIU S12, but that SIU S12 is actually spawning an SMS message. So as soon as the Jellyfish application receives the appointment, it sends a text message to the patient. So that's the one example. The other example would be that if you had this being a ADT A04 being generated and you had it going to the engine, there was 50 other systems it went to, you could list all of those 50 below here and turn them all on, and then they would show up in the interface dashboard.
Oh,
Does
okay.
that make more sense?
It does.
Yeah, and so you know, we really had to add this functionality because of this SMS ability. So there's two different things. There's, you can receive a SIU S12 and turn it into an SMS message. So this being crossed out here is showing you it came from a SIU S12, or it could be you received an ADT A04 and you sent that ADT A04 outbound to 50 other systems as an ADT A04.
Okay.
Does anyone else have any questions? Good question, Brian. Okay, well, thank you, everybody, and please make sure you fill out that survey. If you don't fill out the survey, then we'll just assume that everybody wants to keep going monthly. And I say that sort of in jest. We're hoping that in February and March we'll have real things to show. But if people think monthly is too much, then maybe we would hold them all till March or hold them till April. So, okay, thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
Thanks, Patty.
Thank
Bye.
you.